The whole studio froze. Scarlett Johansson came on to Jimmy Fallon's show expecting a night of jokes and easy laughter. But within minutes, everything changed. Forgotten, awkward moments from her past appeared on the giant screen. At first, she smiled. Then, hesitation flickered across her face. And then, something happened that no one in the studio expected. The way Scarlett responded to the embarrassment silenced the entire room, and inspired millions. Stay until the end, this story will leave you speechless. The Tonight Show's studio gleamed under the dazzling lights, buzzing with energy as the crew rushed to make last-minute adjustments. Scarlett Johansson, Hollywood's golden girl, was backstage in a stunning silver dress that shimmered every time she moved. She adjusted the hem and flashed a charming smile to the assistant who mic'd her up. Another show, another charming interview. She had done it a dozen times, it was supposed to be easy. Jimmy Fallon's voice rang out from the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, you know her from so many incredible films, please welcome, Scarlett Johansson. The band erupted in fanfare. Scarlett strode out confidently, waving to the crowd, soaking in the love. As she sat beside Jimmy, the atmosphere was warm, easy, just as expected. She laughed at his first few jokes, teased him back with witty comebacks, and everything felt familiar, until Jimmy's grin turned slightly mischievous. "Scarlett," he said, his voice laced with excitement, "we thought we'd try something new tonight." The audience leaned in. Scarlett tilted her head, intrigued. "We're going to play a little game we call Memory Lane Mayhem," Jimmy announced, a sparkling graphic appearing behind him. "We dug deep into the archives, Scarlett. Hope you're ready." Scarlett laughed, a little nervously now. She had no idea what they had found. But she was game. She always was. The giant screen behind them flickered, and then there it was. A grainy video of a 13-year-old Scarlett appeared, braces flashing under the school gymnasium lights, as she nervously belted out a squeaky rendition of "I Will Always Love You" at a talent show. The audience roared with laughter. Scarlett's heart dropped. She pressed her hand against her mouth and laughed along, but it was brittle. Her stomach twisted in knots. "Oh my God," she exclaimed, cheeks flushing. "Where did you even find that?" Jimmy chuckled, "Internet is forever, my friend." The next clip showed Scarlett, age 10, giving an earnest but awkward interview to a local cable access show about saving the rainforest. Her giant bangs covered half her face, and she spoke so fast her words tumbled over each other. More laughter. Not mean, but loud. Scarlett shifted in her chair. She felt small in that moment, as if the dazzling Hollywood aura she had built so carefully was being stripped away one embarrassing frame at a time. Jimmy, sensing the tension but not realizing how deep it ran, pushed forward cheerfully. "And it gets better," he cried. The screen now displayed a massive, blown-up yearbook photo. Young Scarlett, braces gleaming, hair frizzy, squinting awkwardly into the camera. And beneath it, her yearbook quote. "Future cat lady, probably." The room howled. Scarlett laughed along, but her laugh cracked halfway through. She stared at the giant screen, and for the first time in years, she felt that old, suffocating feeling, the memory of being the weird, awkward kid no one took seriously. Not the glamorous star. Not the admired actress. Just her. Jimmy, oblivious to the shift, leaned in. "Did you really write that yourself?" Scarlett nodded mechanically, forcing a wide smile. "Yeah. I thought it was funny at the time," she said. Inside, she was spiraling. She felt exposed in a way she hadn't in years, stripped of her armor, not by a cruel headline or paparazzi, but by laughter. Good-natured, perhaps. But piercing all the same. Jimmy pulled out another card. "All right, final question, we found your high school superlative too. Care to guess?" Scarlett braced herself. The screen flashed. Most likely to overthink a text message. The laughter this time was softer, kinder. But Scarlett barely heard it. Her mind raced back to all the times she had second-guessed herself, all the fears she had worked so hard to hide. The audience clapped and cheered, but when the lights shifted back to their conversation, something in Scarlett had changed. She smiled at Jimmy, but this time there was a different light in her eyes, a decision forming. She straightened in her seat and took a deep breath. "Jimmy," she said, her voice calm but powerful. You know, it's funny. I spent so many years trying to be someone else. Someone cooler, someone perfect. Because when you grow up feeling like a joke, like the weird kid, you believe that's all you'll ever be. The studio went silent. Even Jimmy froze, his smile faltering. But here's what I wish someone had told me when I was that kid, Scarlett continued, voice steady. You're not less because you're awkward. You're not less because you're different. You are becoming something extraordinary. Even if the world can't see it yet. The audience listened, spellbound. And tonight, she said, smiling now for real, I'm proud of that weird little girl. The one who sang badly and cared too much about text messages. Because she never gave up. A ripple of applause began, small at first, then swelling into a standing ovation. Jimmy stood up too, clapping along, his face full of genuine admiration. Scarlett smiled wider, feeling lighter than she had in years. She had taken the laughter meant to embarrass her, and turned it into power. Little did she know, the night was far from over. The impact of what she had just said was about to reach far beyond the studio walls. The applause finally faded, but a different kind of energy hung in the air now, heavier, richer, more alive. Scarlett Johansson sat back in her chair, her heart pounding, but not from embarrassment anymore. From something else, liberation. Jimmy, clearly moved, leaned forward on his desk. Wow, he said, his voice softer. That was beautiful, Scarlett. She smiled, brushing a lock of hair behind her ear. Thank you. I guess, sometimes you don't realize you're still carrying old doubts until someone reminds you how far you've come. The audience, still buzzing, settled into a reverent silence. You could almost feel the thousands watching at home, glued to their screens, sensing that something different was happening. Something real. Jimmy cleared his throat, trying to shift gears. Well, he said with a chuckle, this feels like a good time to lighten things up. How about a game? You love games. Scarlett laughed gently, grateful for the pivot. Alright, Fallon. What's the damage? The giant monitor behind them lit up again. This time, it was a bright, colorful title card. Who said it, Scarlett or Shakespeare? The audience laughed, relieved. Scarlett grinned, raising a brow. Oh, we're going there. Jimmy pulled out a stack of cards. Yup. I'm going to read a quote, and you have to tell me, was it something you said in an interview, or something Shakespeare wrote 400 years ago? Scarlett relaxed, letting the playfulness lift her mood. Jimmy began. The better part of valor is discretion. Scarlett tapped her chin dramatically. I want to say me because it sounds cocky, but that's totally Shakespeare. Correct. Jimmy cried, the crowd cheering. Another quote. I'm just a big dork who gets paid to pretend for a living. Scarlett burst out laughing. Me. 100%. Yes. Jimmy shouted, slamming the desk in mock defeat. The game flowed easily, a balm over the earlier tension. Scarlett leaned into it, her laughter genuine now, her spirit mending right there on national television. But even as the atmosphere lightened, a deeper undercurrent ran through her. She couldn't shake the feeling that something profound had shifted, not just for her, but for every kid, every adult watching who had ever felt less than. She had cracked open something raw and necessary. And she wasn't done. After a final round, she guessed wrong between a Shakespearean quote and something she had tweeted at 3 a.m. after too much wine. Jimmy closed the segment with a smile. Scarlett Johansson, everybody. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. The band kicked in, the lights shifted to commercial break, and the moment was over, officially. But not really. Because in the few minutes that followed, as Scarlett returned backstage to grab a drink of water, her phone buzzed once. Then again. Then again. A steady, endless cascade of notifications. Curious, she peeked. Her heart stopped. Hundreds, no, thousands, of messages flooded her feed. Tweets. DMs, Instagram tags. Posts with hashtags like hashtag thanks Scarlett, hashtag own your awkward, hashtag proud to be me. Screenshots of people sharing their own cringy photos, their own awkward memories. No shame, just solidarity. A young woman posted a photo of herself at age 14, braces gleaming, with the caption. Thanks to Scarlett Johansson, I'm no longer embarrassed of who I used to be. Another posted. Watched Scarlett on Fallon tonight. For the first time, I feel like maybe my messiness is beautiful too. Tears welled in Scarlett's eyes as she scrolled. She hadn't just reclaimed her own story, she had sparked a movement. A tap on her shoulder jolted her from the screen. It was Jimmy, holding 2 mugs of coffee, looking sheepish. "I thought maybe, you could use something warm," he said, offering one to her. Scarlett smiled, accepting it. "Thanks, Jimmy." They stood for a moment in the hallway, the buzz of the studio muted behind them. "I'm sorry," Jimmy said suddenly. "I didn't mean for tonight to turn into, whatever that was. We thought it'd just be some funny old clips." Scarlett sipped her coffee, savoring the warmth. "You gave me a gift," she said softly. "You gave all of us a gift." Jimmy blinked, touched. "You know," Scarlett continued, setting her mug down, "when you're young, the world convinces you that you have to be shiny and perfect to be worthy. But nobody tells you that the real magic is in surviving the mess. In loving yourself despite, or even because of, all the weird, broken parts." Jimmy nodded slowly. "And," she added with a grin, "it doesn't hurt that I can now officially say I share a stage with Shakespeare." They both laughed, the tension dissolving completely. "Maybe," Jimmy said, raising his mug like a toast, "maybe the world needs a little more awkwardness." Scarlett tapped her mug against his. "Cheers to that." Meanwhile, across the world, the hashtags continued to trend higher and higher. News outlets picked up the story. Social media buzzed with positivity. Something rare had happened. A night meant for cheap laughs had transformed into a celebration of vulnerability. An anthem for every imperfect soul who had ever felt unseen. And Scarlett Johansson, polished, beautiful, world-famous Scarlett, had reminded everyone that inside every seemingly perfect star was once a trembling, awkward kid, just hoping the world would see their light someday. The night wasn't over yet. Scarlett had one more surprise planned, one that would change everything. When the show wrapped for the evening, Scarlett lingered backstage longer than usual, her mind still buzzing from the unexpected tidal wave of emotion and connection. She scrolled through more posts pouring in from every corner of the world. Photos of braces, acne, crooked smiles, awkward prom nights, handwritten letters to long-forgotten dreams. Scarlett smiled through misty eyes. This wasn't just a moment anymore. It was a movement. She tucked her phone away, feeling a deep pull, a need to do something more, something real. It wasn't enough to have survived her own journey, she needed to reach back and offer a hand to those still climbing their way out of shame and doubt. She found Jimmy near the side exit, chatting with the house band. "Jimmy," she called, her voice decisive. He turned, eyebrows lifting. "What's up? Can we keep the cameras rolling?" she asked. "I want to say something. Not for the show. Just, for them." Jimmy hesitated only a second before nodding. "Of course." Within minutes, a small crew had set up a simple, intimate shot, no fancy lights, no glossy stage, just Scarlett, standing alone under a single soft spotlight, addressing the unseen millions behind the lens. She took a deep breath. No script. No PR polish. Just her. "Hi," she began, her voice gentle. "I'm Scarlett. You probably know me from the movies, the red carpets, the interviews. The polished versions of me. The safe versions." She paused, steadying herself. "But tonight, you met someone else too. You met the girl who wore braces and sang off-key. The girl who hid behind bangs and baggy sweatshirts. The girl who felt invisible and too much all at once." The camera tightened slightly on her face. "And if you're out there tonight, if you're that kid in school who feels invisible, if you're that adult who still carries memories of challenging times, I want you to hear this." Scarlett smiled, eyes shining. "You are not broken. You are becoming. Every awkward laugh, every embarrassing moment, every mistake, they are not shameful. They are the stones that pave your path to greatness." She placed a hand on her heart, her voice trembling slightly with sincerity. "You don't have to erase who you were to become who you are meant to be. That weird, messy, beautiful person inside you. That's your superpower." The camera crew was silent, awed. Jimmy stood just off-screen, arms folded, nodding slowly, his heart pounding with admiration. Scarlett continued, her voice rising, vibrant. So next time someone laughs at your dreams, or mocks your mistakes, let them. Smile. Stand taller. Because you are not here to fit into their narrow view of who you should be. She leaned slightly closer to the lens. You are here to light up the world, in your own brilliant, awkward, unstoppable way. A pause. And if anyone tries to tell you otherwise, she finished with a soft, playful wink, just tell them Scarlett Johansson said awkward is awesome. She stepped back, the light dimming, the moment sinking into the air like a blessing. The crew broke into quiet applause. Jimmy wiped his eyes discreetly. Scarlett smiled warmly at them all, feeling something profound settle into her bones. A knowing, a rightness. It wasn't just an interview anymore. It wasn't even about her anymore. It was about every person who had ever felt small, overlooked, dismissed, and now saw themselves reflected in her. Outside the studio, a small crowd had gathered, drawn by the buzz of the night. Paparazzi lights flashed, fans cheered, but there was something different in the atmosphere, less frenzy, more reverence. Scarlett stepped out into the cool night air. Instead of rushing past the crowd, as she often had to for safety, she paused. One by one, fans reached out, not with just cameras or autograph books, but with words. "You made me believe in myself again," said a college student with trembling hands. "I thought I'd always be ashamed of who I used to be," whispered a young woman holding a tattered yearbook. "But tonight, I'm proud." A middle-aged man, tears glinting in his eyes, simply said, "Thank you for reminding me that surviving is enough." Scarlett hugged them. All of them. No barriers, no security interruptions, just human to human. Meanwhile, social media exploded into something even bigger. The hashtags #OwnYourJourney, #ProudToBeAwkward, and #ScarlettSavesTheDay trended worldwide. People flooded the internet with their own stories, videos, journal entries, diary photos, candid confessions about surviving bullying, depression, rejection, all wrapped in the new, fierce pride that Scarlett had ignited. Major celebrities joined in too. Zendaya posted a video laughing at her ugly duckling photos. Chris Evans shared a throwback of himself with an embarrassing bowl cut. Even Robert Downey Jr. tweeted a picture of his worst audition face, with the caption, "Thanks, Scarlett, for making us all proud to be beautifully human." Scarlett's little moment had turned into a tidal wave of healing. Later that night, tucked safely into her hotel room, Scarlett sat by the window, knees hugged to her chest, watching the city lights blink below. Her phone buzzed again. This time, it was a text from her mother, someone who had seen her through every stage of awkwardness and ambition. "You were always beautiful. But tonight, you were extraordinary. I'm so proud of you." Tears slid down Scarlett's cheeks, not from sadness, but from a deep, soaring sense of peace. She finally understood something. Every version of herself, the scared little girl, the awkward teenager, the striving young actress, the polished star, they were all her. All necessary. All worthy. She whispered into the empty room, almost like a prayer. "Thank you, little Scarlett, for never giving up." Tomorrow, the world would wake up to headlines. Some would talk about the viral moment, the emotional speech, the massive social media trend. But Scarlett knew the real story was much simpler. She had learned that the very parts of herself she once tried to hide, were the parts that made her a beacon. And she would never hide again. The next morning, Scarlett awoke to a world transformed. Her name dominated every social media platform. News anchors spoke with reverence, headlines flashing across screens. Scarlett Johansson redefined stardom with vulnerability. Awkwardness is beautiful, thanks to Scarlett. From Hollywood glam to human hero, Scarlett's viral moment inspires millions. Scarlett sat in bed, coffee warming her hands, as she watched montage after montage of strangers sharing their stories, their photos, their dreams. All stitched together by one common thread, pride in their imperfect journeys. She scrolled through messages from fans around the globe. A teenage boy from Brazil thanking her for helping him feel brave enough to wear his hearing aids proudly. A young woman from India showing a picture of her childhood burns, captioned, "Not a flaw. A badge of survival." A father in Ohio posting a photo of himself attending his daughter's school dance in an old, ill-fitting suit, saying, "Tonight, I danced without shame." Scarlett's heart swelled with every word, every face. It was bigger than her. It always had been. Later that afternoon, Scarlett received a call from her manager. "Scarlett, you're being flooded with offers," he said, his voice almost giddy. "Talk shows, news interviews, sponsorships, everyone wants a piece of this moment." Scarlett listened quietly. "I even have a proposal from a top brand," her manager continued. "They want to create a line of perfectly imperfect clothing, starring you. Think about it, it's genius marketing." Scarlett smiled faintly. But deep down, she knew, this wasn't about monetizing a moment. It was about protecting it. "Tell them no," she said simply. There was a long pause on the other end. "Are you sure?" "Completely." She didn't need a brand to validate her message. It belonged to the people who had found courage in it, the ones who had dusted off old dreams and dared to show their messy, glorious selves to the world. 2 days later, Scarlett took the stage again, but not on a talk show or a movie set. This time, it was a modest community center in Brooklyn, packed wall-to-wall with teenagers from local schools. Some were starstruck. Some were shy. All of them were holding crinkled pieces of paper, sketches, poems, short letters, pieces of themselves they were ready to share. Scarlett stood at the front, wearing jeans and sneakers, no makeup except a little mascara. She looked radiant, not because of glamour, but because of authenticity. She gripped the microphone and smiled. "Hi," she began, "I'm Scarlett. And I'm proud to be awkward." The room erupted in laughter and cheers. "I wanted to come here," she continued, "because it's easy to say, be yourself, on a TV screen. It's harder to believe it in real life, when you're sitting in a cafeteria or scrolling through perfect Instagram feeds." She paced gently, connecting with every face in the room. "But let me tell you something, the people who change the world, the ones who invent, create, lead, they are rarely the ones who fit in perfectly. They're the ones who once felt too